Gary and Dave, Perfect Shot Outdoors. We got one for you.
Hey, we're bringing the Ratcliff buck to you. He killed it in new season in Ohio. Wait until you see this. First antlered buck when I was 10. I killed it with a Horton crossbow, and I shot him. He was 121. He's just a real clean 8-pointer. And then this buck was last year. This was the really long shot. So I was just going and not really expecting anything. My release went off and I watched him nosedive out in the field, and that was one of the most exciting things. I tell you what, people admire the deer heads hanging on the wall, but as hunters and hunting with family and friends, man, they mean so much more to us. Like I get called crazy all the time at school by people that don't hunt, because I'm every day after school I'm doing something. Like during lunch at school, I go check trail cameras.
Yeah, this deer is exceptional, but the experience has been the same on all of them.
Right.
So while these antlers are far more impressive than anything we have in here, the experience was the same.
It might be a good time for you to get it out so that we can get a good look at this thing.
Wow. Oh my goodness.
Oh, good Lord. You said the measurements were what on this deer?
The Buckmaster's master scorer, they call him, is head weight is the guy that came down to score it. And he had it at 232 and 2/8. If the measurements line up, then it's 222 and some change Boone and Crocket net. So he's got a 15 and 5/8 inch G2 on his right side and 8.5 inch bases on his right side. He's just a real giant of a deer. I think when Ed was scoring him, he said 101, and I was like, man, that's going to put him well into the 200s, you know?
Right.
Let's say both sides are 100, you still got the inside spread. And then he goes, and that's the small side. And I was like, phew, I killed something pretty big here. I mean, I knew I killed a big one, but when we got trail camera pictures of him, the first picture, he just kind of looked, I was like, man, that's a Boone and Crocket 8-pointer. Then the next picture, this deer is a lot better than what I was thinking.
Did you have any idea how big he was when
he was? My guess was 210 probably. I didn't realize he was in the 30s, 230s.
So you
can't visualize the mass from a trail camera picture. The mass that this deer has is just, it shrinks his G2s. Like in pictures, you can't even see how long his G2s are because of how thick he is. I don't know, he's just a real special deer. When did you learn about this deer? So the story behind this deer is pretty insane, and a lot of people have been saying I'll never kill another one bigger than that, which I agree with. But I don't think I'll ever kill one with the background that this one had, because it just doesn't happen like this. I was like, I'm gonna put a camera up out there, and I put some corn down just to see what was in there. We put it in kind of like a little funnel. There was a scrape there, some rubs. So some good sized rubs, or I mean something that tip you off like, uh-oh. He died about 15 yards from a tree about that big around that was just tore up. Okay. So camera was out there for 3 days. It was Friday before the Saturday of youth season. I was like, I'm gonna run out there before work and check this camera. And I told him, I was like, there might be a 200 incher out there. It could pull me away from that 160. Just messing around, because that never happens. I had 45 pictures. They hadn't even found the corn. I was just clicking through it, little buck, and there was like a 140, and I was like, that's cool. Kept going, little dinky buck, and the next picture after that little basket rack was this, his right main beam, and his head was down, and it looked like a mainframe 8. I couldn't see all the junk. I was like, jeez, I was like, that's a Boone and Crocket 8-pointer is what I was thinking. All right. And then the next picture I got, his head was up, and I could see all his junk, and I was like, That deer is pushing 200.
So we had, there's no place to put a stand. So we just used the natural terrain to gain elevation as best we could. And it gave us a pretty good vantage point.
Because everything just seemed right. It seemed like the stars were going to align for us. So we walked back, got to this corner. Our wind was blowing over, like I said earlier, and I was thinking we gave all that up. And I sat right beside a fence post on a stool, and Dad was 5 feet behind me, tucked in the trees a little bit on a stool. Just a classic gun hunting scene. I'm sitting next to an old fence post, you know. I had shooting sticks, and it was raining, and it was cold. I did not dress appropriately. I was really getting cold. I was wet, and all of a sudden, I kept falling asleep. I was trying to stay awake. I was sitting there, and I hear Dad go, "Mason."
Now, how early did you get in?
We got in there
6:20.
6:20.
Okay.
It was really dark, and we got in there quiet because rain. That really helped us out. And it was 7:10 when I killed him. It was 7:10. So 16 minutes in the shooting light for that day, and so he's Mason, and I was like, what? And he wouldn't answer me. So I was like, I'll just find it myself. And I was looking around, and I look and I see a deer moving, and it kind of had that big bulky butt look to it. It was just walking. And I was like, oh, no way, because it was 80 yards, but I couldn't tell what it was. His antlers kind of blended in that Syrupy. So I had a scope cover on there because it was raining, and I ripped that scope cover off, and I could not find my pocket. I was so excited. I was like, I don't even know. It took me like 30 seconds to get that thing in my pocket. So I moved my shooting sticks over once I did that, and I looked through there, and as soon as my cheek hit the stalk, and I looked through there, and I saw his G2, it would be this side. It'd be that big G2. I saw his G2, and as soon as it clicked in my mind that it was the one we're in there, Dad had just got his binoculars up, and he goes, it's him. And I was like, oh, this isn't happening right now. You know, first deer we see, first light. And I was like, oh, don't mess this up. And I gave him, man, and he kept walking. And I did it a little louder the next time, and he looked up at me, like in that position, just looking at me. Put it on his chest and cracked one off. And I shot, and the scope just went red with the wave of whatever comes out of Bushmaster, you know. And Dad goes, oh, you smoked him, because he was looking through the binoculars at him, and he mule kicked. And I actually heard the bullet hit him.
Wow.
And that was really cool. So I was like, oh, I hit him, thank God. And he took off running down the hill. I was trying to shoot him again, but I was so excited I couldn't even work the bolt. I was just so excited. And I figured I got him anyway. And he was running, and then he just disappeared from my view, but Dad's just a little bit higher than me behind me. And he saw him fall. And that was so exciting. He said that when he said he was down, I turned around, I was like, we just killed a 200 inch. Because we've talked about that for 10 years. We think we'll ever kill one of them. Like, we got buddies that kill them regularly, like Steve Pinkston and Andy Beatty. I don't know if any of you guys know him. We know some really good deer hunters. And I didn't think we'd ever get one like this, but when we did, it was just crazy. The emotions that spilled out were insane. I picked Dad up. I literally picked him up, and we were just high-fiving.
There's not many things that can give you that kind of thrill on Earth, I don't think, that I have experienced anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And as a dad, it's far more enjoyable for me to see Mason get a deer than it is for me to get one.